From the gridiron to the hardwood, James Mesh breaks it all down. It's time for another episode of Cleats and Sneaks.
Welcome back for another edition of Cleats and Sneaks here on ESPN Southwest Louisiana, the YouTube channel where we talk everything about the NFL and the NBA. And let me tell you, we're coming down to that final stretch for the association. Not a lot of movement, not expecting a lot, but I am curious to see where we will see everybody when it comes to those first round matchups. Of course, you got to go through the play-in tournament, which, I love the play-in tournament, but still, I guess we'll see who ends up finishing as the 7 and 8 seed before we get into the first round. Still got to quite figure out. I know we're down to 6-7 games to go, but there could be a little bit of movement. Not expecting a lot, but there could be a little bit of movement. We'll get more into the playoffs as we get along. But for right now, I do want to bring up some things that were talked about when it came to the NFL and the owners' meetings for that, because there was a lot of proposals on some rule changes and how we do football nowadays. There was quite a few things that they had brought up. The kickoff rule, replay assist, plenty of other things out there. And we'll kind of go through it because guys like Adam Schefter, Ian Rappaport, they reported on things and the potential rules and proposals that were passed, denied, and even tabled for the next meeting that's actually in a month. So there are some things that are going to change, some things that won't change, and some things that are kind of still on the table and to be decided on whether they will change or not. And we'll kind of go through those. One of the things that was popped up at the owners' meetings was the fact that they did end up passing a rule that both teams will be allowed to possess the ball in overtime in the regular season. That's a big thing because remember, over the last few years, and quite a few years now, we've seen so many teams, and even your favorite team, whether it's the Saints, whether it's really any of the other 31 out there, more likely than not, you might have been a victim of your defense not being able to stop the opponent, give up a touchdown on the first drive, and then game's over. You don't even get a chance. You don't even get a chance to respond. I've kind of talked about this for quite a while now, how I would much rather see the NFL adopt the college rules and each team gets a possession and not necessarily have to go the length of the field. Instead of going 65, 70, 75 yards or so to end up scoring a touchdown, you just put it at the 25, put it at the 30. I know you're already in field goal range, but still, it kind of creates more of an exciting, fast-paced type of motion because as we get farther into this, the time won't matter. I would much rather to see that and see what they do with the college game because I think that's just a better way of approaching it. If you want to do a slight adjustment, I'm all for it. But I think what the NFL is doing right now is a little bit better. Now both teams will be able to possess it once each before we can actually decide a winner. The only thing though is, remember in these last few years, it's been 10 minutes for an overtime. They're going with each team will get a possession. However, it is going to stay at 10 instead of moving up to 15 minutes. Not quite sure how much I love it, and I'm not quite sure how much this is going to come into play. But say, for example, a team takes 7.5 minutes or so off the clock, and they end up scoring a touchdown. Or let's just say they settle for a field goal, but they put up points on the board. All of a sudden, instead of you feeling you can go into your 4-minute offense where you can run the ball and have a little extra time where you can have the playbook a little bit more open to you and a lot more options out there, depending on the down and distance and the situation. If you only have 2.5, maybe 3 minutes, you kind of feel like you're a little bit more crunched for time. You may feel like you're a little bit more forced to have to actually keep going with the passing plays, depending on whether you were ahead or behind. That's just kind of my thing is you take off the minutes and now you get next to nothing. It feels like then, even though winning the coin toss is already super important, now it becomes even more important and stays about the same level of importance to make sure that you have a chance to actually possess the ball. Because say that happens, now you feel like you're in a pinch. You feel like you're forced to have to run some plays that maybe you don't necessarily want to run, but you feel like you have to Because if you don't all of a sudden pick up 15 yards, now you feel like you're in a second or third and long in distance, and they have to run the same type of play anyway. And maybe you don't love it when you would have rather run it in that instance, but you can't necessarily do that because you don't feel like you have enough time. Either that, or you have to rush and get multiple plays in before the next one because you have to go into a no huddle type of offense or burn your timeout. So I wish they would have given it just the extra 5 minutes. It helps create what's going to happen. And I don't think we're going to get down to that last minute as much as maybe we do. I don't think it's going to change a whole lot. It's just, I'd rather, if you're going to give each team a possession, either take away the clock altogether or up it to 15 minutes instead of keeping it at the 10. Another thing that was brought up at the NFL owners' meetings was the proposal on being able to expand the league's replay assist, because we've seen that also pop up, how you're relying on the quote-unquote sky judge, I guess you could say, some other referees and judges kind of watching the play, doing a quick instant replay to be like, hey, instead of us taking either a whole timeout or bringing out the TV to do the instant replay, they already looked at it. They said, no, that's a catch. That's out of bounds, or one of the other rules, or that's a touchdown. Don't even review it. You're good. Just call it this. You had it wrong, but we got the quick fix. We don't have to waste time. The fact they are expanding that and they have approved on that proposal, that's another good thing. People are kind of worried that that'll create more timeouts and having to go into more commercial breaks and having the game go even longer. I don't really think so. That's actually just going to make things go a little bit quicker, because instead of having to rely on the referees to go to the booth to review it for 5-6 minutes, if you already got a whole staff of 5, 6, 7 guys that are up in the press box or in New York or wherever they're doing it, they can get it done before you even take out the booth, look at it, then have to put it back, get back into the field, turn on your mic. You can just turn your mic real quick and be like, actually, it's turnover on downs, or we're flipping the play, or after quick review, replay assist says we're good. We can move on. We don't even have to take the commercial break. This is great. That's actually what I really like. There was another proposal. This came from the Detroit Lions to eliminate an automatic first down as a penalty imposed for defensive holding and illegal contact. I actually like this idea because it pisses me off how often you're in a really good situation where it's 3rd and long, 4th and long, or 2nd and long, and you're feeling really good, and maybe it's an incomplete pass down the field, and you're like, okay, you get called for defensive holding. However, because of defensive holding being a 5-10 yard penalty, instead of it just being how it is, and you just say, for example, it's a 3rd and 17, 5 yards, now it's 3rd and 12. For the longest time, it's always been automatic first down. I don't like that. You're just giving a free pass to the offense, and I've always been an offensive guy. Also going to bring up with the tush push in a minute. I love giving offense the advantage because at the end of the day, whether you're casual or you're someone that's really deeply rooted in trying to figure out the ins and outs and knowing the intricacies of the game of football, putting up points is really how you win the game. I know you can either have the philosophy of putting up more points than your opponent or making sure that your opponent puts up less points. I know it sounds the same way, but really it's two different ideologies. And I get that. I've always been the mindset of I'd rather put up more points than my opponent. So I'm going to lean towards offensive type football instead of seeing a bunch of 16-13 or 13-10 type of ball games. Not as much my cup of joe. I don't enjoy watching those as much as I watch games get into the 30s or late 20s as some other people. Maybe that's just a modern type of thing because I'm a little bit younger, but I just like how the game of football played that way because I don't need to see the offense struggle for 3.5 quarters essentially and go 3 and out or only have 5 play drives that end up resulting in a punt because they maybe got to midfield. I don't love that. I want to see the ball be moved down the field and progress forward and points on the board. I don't need to see a 50-point game every single time, but that's just me. That's just me. That did not pass. The rule for Detroit trying to get rid of the illegal automatic first down for the defensive holding and the illegal contact did not go through. Unfortunate. I wish they would change that. Maybe next year. Maybe next year when we get into the owners' meetings, maybe they will finally see it from my perspective and from Detroit's perspective to actually move on from that rule, because that's one of the things that pisses me off. Another thing that does piss me off is how the kickoff rule, and not necessarily kickoff itself, but more of the onside kick rule has been working. They did change the kickoff rule itself just a little bit. The proposal was to separate into two different votes. One of them being moving the football to the 35-yard line instead of the 30 on kickoffs for touchbacks. Because remember, we saw plenty of times teams like the Chiefs were so confident in their defense. They're like, look, we understand that in years past, it was at the 25 when you would do a touchback, moved it up to 30. Still quite a few teams oftentimes said, we're not even going to risk that. Just take it up to 30. We don't care. If you get to the 50 and you get to midfield, maybe get 5 yards past it, you're not kicking the field goal anyway. You're still in no man's land. You're just going to have to punt, so who cares? They actually are going to move it up to the 35 now. So instead of having to go 75 yards in years past, and even before then 80 yards, and then last year was 70 on an automatic touchback, now it's only 65. So you may see a pretty good drop-off on teams deciding to go for a touchback. Something to monitor in 2025. The other side of the kick modification for onside kicks got denied. So unfortunately, that part of the kickoff rule still in effect. Don't love it that you have to announce that you're doing an onside kick only in the fourth quarter and when you're losing. It's so stupid. It takes away any of the fun of having a surprise ambush like we saw in the Saints Super Bowl. Don't love it. Do not love it. Another big one, I brought it up a couple minutes ago, but the tush push, that's actually one of the things that is going to be tabled for May's meeting. I know that's been a big topic of debate, whether you're listening to local or national or any of your favorite content creators talking about the tush push. Should it be legal? Is it really football? Should it be banned? Personally, for me, I think it's fine. Again, I lean towards offensive football. I want to see them actually move the ball forward. I also think you look at a lot of the success coming from teams, mainly the Eagles and Bills. It's just because they have athletic freaks that are strong and can just push forward. And oftentimes, they basically already got the first down or the touchdown. They're already over the line. That extra push is kind of irrelevant to me, so I don't think that matters as much as people think. A lot of people want to get rid of it. I believe about half of the teams said yes, get rid of it. The other half said no, don't get rid of it. To me, at the end of the day, I'm fine with it. I actually like it. It's kind of more of an ode to old school, the roots of football. Remember back in the 1910s and 20s, if you ever seen any of those old clips, it used to be scrumps. It was just big old pileups. Like that, to me, it's like, look, that wasn't the most exciting football, but like, that's the beginning of football in my eyes in and of itself. It wasn't exciting. It wasn't throwing a 40-yard bomb to somebody for a big old touchdown, but still, it's kind of that old school hard-nosed football of my guys versus your guys. Does the offense get that little extra push with the running back and maybe tight end, whoever they line up behind the quarterback, help push the quarterback forward? Sure. But if it was so dominant, why isn't it everyone doing it? I mean, really. It's really only the Eagles and the Bills who are doing it at high success rate. And guess what? Those two guys are athletic freaks that are in the gym. Jalen Hurts does it because he squats, 600 pounds? You seen the dude's thighs? Have you seen that dude? Have you seen how built he is? Yeah, he's going to get the 1 yard. It's 3rd and 1. And then the biggest offensive line. It's Philadelphia. What are you expecting them to lose? Oh, it's stupid. I'm fine with the play. I like it. I know that's not really high of the opinion compared to other people, but I'm completely fine with it. That's one of the things that will get pushed back to a later date. But that's pretty much all I got for you looking at what's going on with the NFL and the league and the changes, the non-changes, what we're waiting for in May. We'll have to see what's going to go down. But appreciate you tuning into another edition of Cleats and Sneaks. We'll be back with more. If you want to check out some of our other stuff, like the Miguez Mindset, Over Par, both hosted by our guy Matt Miguez, as well as the 4 Tire Change podcast with our guy Dawson Iserlo talking about NASCAR. We got plenty of content. Not only that, but also all of our local stuff. New Orleans Saints, LSU Tigers, Louisiana Raging Cajuns, McNeese Cowboys, New Orleans Pelicans. I know the Pelicans are really struggling. 21 wins and we're 7 games left in the regular season. The whole starting 5 is entered at this point. It's a lost season. You don't love it. But we do have the coverage for you if you are a fan and you would like to learn more about it. Check us out here on ESPN Southwest Louisiana on YouTube. Check out our social medias. Check us out live on radio on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles. We're here for you. Appreciate you tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll be back with more right after this.